another urgent update. I've been trying to get these things scheduled for a live broadcast when things are nice and calm and we can do that, but it appears that's not the time we're in. I told you a little bit about some of the things going on around the world. It is a hot spot. And I kind of figured something out today that I should have figured out a couple of weeks ago. Why is the United States provoking Russia and China primarily? Hi, I have to keep my glasses on so I can see who's commenting. Yeah, I got to be able to watch what's going on in the stats going by. Hello, and I'm not even going to try to pronounce names. Ray, Ukraine. I'm not good at pronunciation, so we're just going to stay out of that. But anyhow, thank you for joining in. We're looking at some of the things to make and sell artillery. Well, the harlot is in, and the Antichrist is in charge of the other part that the harlot's not involved in. So the world is in turmoil at the moment. Ray, okay, I see that. Harpazo Airlines, yes. I wonder if we get a meal. Anyhow, we're getting to where it's getting scary. Not that I'm worried about it, but I'm scared for the rest of the world. We're going to get pulled out of here. I've said before that it's going to be something big, like a nuclear attack or something. If that happens, then that's going to be the reason we get pulled out of here. So the more things get crazy around the world, the closer we are. But then we're not going to be here. We're not going to be around to help people. And that's been our job up to this point. But I figured out why we are provoking these countries. The harlot, who's in charge of our country, yeah, not quite there yet, but we're getting close. I think it's going to take us to be gone. I think that's going to be after the rapture, because we're going to be the final nail in the coffin of the economy. Yeah, and they're going to do a martial law. That way they can turn off the election and stay in power. But the harlot wants to be a world dominating China, that dominating country. Iran, they want to dominate the Middle East, but they're willing to make sure that as long as they destroy Israel, they don't care who's in charge after that. So we're getting to the point where the Bible does not say anything about the United States or China. Now you can assign terrible names to and say this name that we don't know who it is, it has to be the United States, and people are trying to do that. And this name that we don't know what it is has to be China. Why would there be two unknown names like that? It's probably something, a country that's in the area, and we just don't know what it is yet. We can't recognize it. But all the other names we know. Yeah, because the harlots can't say the buzzwords. You're just going to have to assume as I get to them. I'll try to elude them. They tried with the, can I say virus? No, I probably can't say virus, so I won't say virus. And then they tried with the, and now we have the monkeys out there running around. They're trying to take over. And the countries that buy into it are going to be included in their plan. But we're looking at Russia and China right now that don't want to be. And it looks like we're going head to head with China over Taiwan. There's no reason for Pelosi to go there. No diplomatic reason at all. She's the Speaker of the House. She's not an international in our country. They're distractions, but they're designed to intimidate China and Russia, get gold. Well, they've already said in their last meeting, their 23rd meeting, that they're so far ahead of, so long before, is that 5 years before? I don't know. But they're so far ahead, and they've got power in the United States right now to do anything they want to do. They just don't want to lose that power. We have an election coming up. Well, we're glad to get rid of her. I don't care where she goes. She's a perfect example. Her and Schumer are perfect examples of their argument of why we have a 2-year term on the presidency. When they put the 2-year term on the presidency, they said nobody should be in power that long, because then they're going to get corrupt. And of course, there's no term limits on Congress. Congress makes executive orders and creates all these committees to do things. He's breaking the Constitution. He's not supposed to be able to do that. But the fox is in the chicken coop, and the hunter is Congress, and they're not going to shoot their own people. So we're not going to gain control back. And if there was a chance that they'd gain control back, they've got their ace in the hole. Our government, our federal health agency could come out and say, declare an emergency and you can have martial law. Yeah, I mean, if we go to war, it's something that they can use as an excuse. It's been used many times. People make lots of money that have businesses that make guns or tanks or whatever you've got, whatever military hardware. The reason we got Nixon out of office was because, hello, thanks for joining in. But they got him on was things that everybody was doing. Everybody keeps looking and going, Biden's stupid, we're going down the wrong path. He's not stupid, he's a puppet. He's following their plans. Everything that they're doing to harm us is deliberate. Our inflation is deliberate. The high cost of food, the scarcity of food is deliberate. The high cost of oil, deliberate. The only reason it's down right now is we're getting close to the election and people are going to notice that. Now, they'd rather steal the election, honestly. I'm being facetious with that. But they'd rather steal it the way they did last time than to martial law into a war with China. Riddance to however many millions there. It doesn't matter. They don't care. This is Satan running all this. And Satan's going to also be behind the beast. Now, in actuality, I don't understand why he's doing what he's doing, because he's creating two entities that are going to eventually, the beast is going to destroy the harlot. But the harlot is setting everything up. And as soon as it's set up, the beast is going to step in with help and destroy the harlot and its system, and then he's going to take over. Now, I don't think we're going to be here for that. But I mentioned in my last video what they're doing in New York, where they came out with, it's on Twitter, it's the New York City Emergency Management Twitter site. Just see what they're doing there. They're putting up all kinds of stuff, so you may have to look for it. But I posted it earlier, and I did it on a picture as well. What to do in case of a nuclear attack. We haven't done that since the 60s, when I lived in Southern California. You could buy a bomb shelter back then, because there was a threat, Soviet Union threat, where we were worried about nuclear bombs coming in, but they would have been easier to detect back then. Now they can have a submarine right off our coast. They could have somebody said that they found and disarmed a dirty bomb in New York City. I don't know if that's true or not. I just saw that on one of the comments. If you want to post, whoever posted that comment, if you can put a link up, I'll have a chance to go look for it later. But right now, we're provoking a nuclear attack by going into Taiwan. And there's no real political reason to do that. And the technology bill that just got passed a few days ago is going to put money into the tech sector. That's so we can start making our own chips. If you've got an iPhone or a Droid, it doesn't matter which one, they're made in China. When we go over to China, you think you're going to get a replacement phone? Not if they don't have stock here. Yeah, we have to have your bags packed. And the only thing we can take with us are the souls that we've saved. But that's the most valuable thing we can take with us, so that's okay. But if we go in there, Pelosi's over there now in the Orient. I think she was in Singapore today. I've heard things like she's going to go to Manila and then fly out of Clark Air Force Base on the 4th. Now, if she really wants to provoke it, she's going to announce it to the world the minute they take off and say, I dare you, I dare you. But she could be clever and say, we're going to go there on the 4th, and then sneak in on a private plane or something on the 3rd, get in, do all of our photo ops, and then get back out, and then say, well, haha, we fooled you, I was there. So I don't know whether they're trying to just provoke China, or are they really trying to say, come on, let's go to war. Neither one are pleasant. But if we do go to war, China has nukes, and we have nukes. And the nukes that were used in World War II are baby nukes compared to what we have today. I don't remember the exact megatons, but it's like 10 to 50 range for the early bombs. We can do 100 to 1,000 megatons now, depending on the size of the bomb and the mechanism needed to launch it. The early bombs, if that's what it is, basically you put a bunch of radioactive material in there and you have almost a traditional bomb. You know, it can be a fertilizer bomb, it can be anything. But when it blows up, it scatters that radioactive material around and it contaminates everything that it touches. Radioactive material has a long half-life. It does not go inert right away. So if they do something like that, that would be a terrorist bomb. But they're not trying to provoke terrorists at this point. Iran may get a bomb, in which case they may try to be a terrorist, because they're not going to have many bombs to start off with. Yep. Hopefully we will be out of here before he gets his sacrifice. But we're provoking World War III right now. And I always thought it would be with the Muslims first, because they believe, and it's in their Quran, that if they start World War III, that God, their God, Allah, which just is a name for God, if their God comes in to help them, they're going to win. That's their belief. And they know who Jesus is, but he's just a prophet. He's not a son of God in their biblical text. But they may be sitting on the sideline for a little while. Taiwan, the reason China wants Taiwan is they are desperate for money. They've got some of the territories that are rebelling. Sri Lanka just had some fighting. We're seeing it in Venezuela. A lot of places we're starting to see fighting from the people. I think I saw where we're getting ready for a rail strike. The unions are in bed with the harlots, so I can see why they would do that. So they're doing it from both sides. We're getting hit from all around us. What was that? Yeah, 100 megatons, that's what I said. So we can, did I say 1,000? 100 megatons would be, yeah, it's a gigaton. Okay. In any case, they're big. And when you drop a nuclear bomb, it doesn't hit the ground. You know, old style traditional bombs are designed to hit the ground and to blow up the ground over the top of what might be some bunkers or things like that. We have the mother of all bombs that does that. It's a bunker buster. But a nuclear bomb isn't designed for that. It's designed to go off in the air. and spread its radiation out amongst the buildings, it will take down a lot of buildings, but it's designed to basically kill the people with radiation. That's why you do it. And if you look at what happened in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, there's a wall up. I don't know if it's still up. I think they left some of the walls up because of historical monuments. But there was a silhouette of a person where they were standing there, and the flash hit so hard that it burned the wall, but left a white mark where the body was. Those are the lucky ones. The ones that were a little further out that got radiation sickness and slowly died. Because there's really, depending on the severity, there's nothing we can do. It's not a clean way of killing ground zero. And then every mile you go out, there's less and less impact, depending, of course, on the size of the bomb. But radiation goes everywhere. And if you decide you want to keep the structures, you can use a hydrogen bomb. You can use an EMP bomb. If bombs start going off around us, this internet that we're watching right now will probably go down. And I wouldn't be a bit surprised if they start launching ground-to-space missiles to go up and take out the satellites. A lot of them, the commercial ones, will go out P-bomb. Solar flares earlier this year took out 40 of them. And that's just the sun throwing a bunch of radiation in our direction. It's constantly throwing radiation out in all directions. And normally we don't get hit because we're only in 1 degree quadrant. But if it's throwing it directly at us, it's coming in such massive quantities that the radiation belt and our atmosphere can't absorb all of it. And a lot of the satellites are above the radiation belt. They're not in the belt itself. They're in a dead zone. Because if you put them right in the radiation belt, it wouldn't work. Yeah, it is. Some of it is scare tactics. Agreed. But they're pushing. The harlot is pushing. And they're willing to sacrifice everybody here. Guarantees that they will own the world when they're done. Well, we have this problem for how long, as we always have. If it stays conventional, it could last a year or more. China boasts the largest army in the world. That's our 200 million man army. If we want to fight a conventional war, it could last a long time. They've got lots of weapons. We have lots of weapons. Not as many as we used to because we're getting rid of them. But we have lots. We have planes, and our planes are superior to theirs. So more than likely it would turn nuclear if it doesn't start off that way. Now, as far as nukes, they've got hundreds, we've got hundreds. The old scenario, have you seen the movie War Games? The ending scenario where the computer is playing out what would happen with the Soviet Union and nukes. You see all these arcs going across on the screen. That's not a real picture of NORAD inside, but it's a close approximation. They had screens like that. And I had a computer like he had. That's an IMSI computer. We were afraid like that back then. We should be afraid like that now. Russia still has. They don't have all the ones that were in the Soviet Union anymore. And some of the nukes are missing. There's suitcase nukes that are missing and other ones, but we're talking China at this moment. We'll get to Russia later on. But neither one of us are mentioned in the end time, so it's possible we could annihilate each other with nukes, in which case we're talking hours. Something like that would warrant a rapture. So we don't have to worry. I don't know where it falls in the biblical side of it. That's the problem. We're not mentioned. So does that mean that anything that happens to us is not mentioned as well? I don't know. They'll have control of everybody eventually, including what's left of us, what's left of Russia, and what's left of China, all under the harlot control. Keep praying. Keep getting the message out. I noticed on my last video that I had some problems because I was trying to work. I really desperately need to get a new laptop. My old one is just too old to play anymore. 11 years old in technology is, and I'm playing with an abacus. I can't work it out anymore. I'd go get my workstation, but it has a bad power supply. So I have to go get a new case that has a new power supply. Just turn it on and it's good to go. I said something like, play for me instead of pray for me. It's hard to see on my screen. And again, if you can support on my Patreon account, you don't have to be a big supporter. $1 or $2 or $5. I don't need a lot on that. The laptop, I do need some good donors. But if everybody chipped in $1 on my subscriber list, we'd reach that length their cut. Got to remember they take a cut out of it. So if I ask for 500, I get like 480. So if I really want, but they make it easy for you to contribute. But I want your prayers more than anything, because I am finding that I am being attacked in different sides, things I have to deal with, trying to fight filters. I can't say certain things. If I say certain things, I won't be able to do what I need to do. I do have a couple things I did. My old iPad. Okay, on a site, and it's called English. You can get, you can switch it over to Dewey if you want, but we've got the 9 days laws and customs. The first 9 days of the month of Av, and also the morning of the 10th, are days of acute mourning for the destruction of the first and second temple. We're in that time frame, okay? The 9th and 10th of Av are the days of the destruction. And a lot of bad things have happened to Israel during those times throughout history. So if Israel's going to get attacked, that would be a good time for that. And they don't, they don't eat meat, I believe. For pleasure. They don't remodel or expand a home. They don't plant trees. You don't buy, sell, or knit anything. Kind of stuff that Jesus was making fun of. That they've created their own laws to go beyond what was originally created by God. So we're looking, I think the 9th of August is on the 5th this week, and of course the 10th would be on the 6th. So that's a high watch time for something to go wrong. But what else is going to go on this week? Countries unite. In which case, pretty much all the countries except for Russia are Islamic. And I did want to read some of the China stuff. I got this, our own newspapers are so corrupt, you can't trust a thing they said. So ironically, I'm getting these headlines in this news story from Al Jazeera. The news starts off with the heading, "If she dares, China warns Nancy Pelosi against visiting Taiwan. The foreign minister threatens serious consequences if the U.S. House Speaker makes a trip to the self-ruled island claimed by Beijing. China has never relinquished control of Taiwan. They've managed to stay on their own because Taiwan has really not wanted to go up against the United States. So this is a test of wills. If we back down on this, I guarantee that Taiwan has about a month or two left, and China will be right on top of them. They need the income. Bonjour from France. Je ne parle pas français. Continuing on, reading from Al Jazeera. China says its military will never sit idly by if the U.S. House of Representatives Nancy Pelosi were to visit Taiwan. In Beijing, China Foreign Minister spokesman Zhao Lijian reiterated earlier warnings on Monday, saying there will be serious consequences if she insists on making the visit, but he did not spell out any specific consequences. We are fully prepared for any eventuality, he said. The People's Liberation Army, PLA, will never sit by idly. China will take strong and resolute measures to safeguard its sovereignty and territorial integrity. China has been steadily ratcheting up, I'm still reading, ratcheting up diplomatic and military pressure on Taiwan. Threats of retaliation over the visit have driven concerns of a new crisis in the Taiwanese Strait, which separates the two sides. That could roil global markets and supply chains. So we could be seeing an end of some tech coming there. They do a lot of stuff for us. It's one of the reasons that they passed our tech bill here, is to start pulling some of this back in. Several Taiwanese media outlets reported late on Monday that Pelosi was set to visit Taiwan on Tuesday and spend the night in Taipei, citing unnamed sources. I've also heard the 4th as another day that she'd be visiting, flying out of Clark Air Force Base. I don't know. Armed military escort. And quite frankly, if they're going to sacrifice Pelosi, then just send her in with one escort plane. One of the newspapers, the Liberty Times, said Pelosi was scheduled to visit Taiwan's parliament on Wednesday morning before continuing her Asian trip. Taiwan's foreign minister said it had no comment on reports of Pelosi's travel. We have many differences when it comes to Taiwan, but over the past 40 years, we have managed those differences and done it in a way that has preserved peace and stability and allowed the people of Taiwan to flourish, said U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken. It would be important as part of a shared responsibility to continue to manage this in a wise way that doesn't create the prospect of conflict. That's what you would do if you were trying to be a diplomat. If you're trying to provoke war or to get somebody to back down, they're playing chicken. And whoever backs down will have to run with their tail between their legs to get back home. It will be embarrassing. Now, we've already had our time at being embarrassing, courtesy of our current government. We turned tailed and ran on Afghanistan, and they may be thinking the same. When they bombed on 9/11, they didn't think that our administration was anything about it. They didn't think we were switching administrations. We did something about it. The previous administration wouldn't have, and that's why they were gone. But I don't think they're going to allow us to go to an election. So they know who they're dealing with. But they're also not dealing with the United States. They're dealing with the harlot, and they're dealing with Satan. And whether they believe that or not, I don't know, but there's a lot of powerful money people behind the harlot. A lot of countries have rich people part of that group. China would be taking them on. And if they decided to boycott China and lock them out of everything, they could do it. And China doesn't want that. My guess is they're going to blame. Talking about a spiritual war here. Inept against another one who's not spiritually inept. We're supposed to be a Christian country, but our leaders are not. China is not a Christian country, but people are. So we're going to see how much of the peasant Christians can sway what's going on. Pray for God's will to be done more than anything. If this praying, Jesus, be taken from me, but not my will, your will be done. Then we can pray for it. If we are, may God have mercy on us and get us out of here. Okay, that's all I really want to talk about. This is an urgent time, and we're at a very strong Jewish biblical time because of the calendar. The rapture is not tied to a Jewish calendar date, but it is tied to a potential nuclear attack. And we know that there will be nukes used at some point in time. But I only knew about the ones in the Middle East. But since we're not talked about, maybe we're part of that early starting of that. Wars and rumors of wars. But we're just not mentioned by name because we're not going to be in. Oh, and I have one bit of good news. My oldest son, who was living in San Francisco, finally had enough of Chicago, not Chicago itself, but in the suburbs. So he's in a safer spot. His wife is from that general area, and they know where they're at. So he's out of San Francisco. So if they attack San Francisco, I'm okay with not worrying about them. I have a nephew in LA, a niece in Northern California. This is his last time. Satan do what he can. Thank God for all of you that joined in. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Stay in prayer. That's all I can say. Read the Bible daily and stay in prayer. You've got a free moment. Stay in prayer and read the Bible. Because we don't know what's happening. And if they nuke someplace in the United States, even if it's not near you, it will be a major problem for the United States. It may take a power grid down. It can do besides what it has. It may take out our economy. We're on the brink now. They're pushing us over the brink. Over the brink. Because that's what they want. They're destroying our farming. They're destroying our water sources. They really want us to die. So pray that we don't. But then they're going to come up with every plan they can come up with. This is Satan's last chance. He's going to do as much damage as he can. And he's got two ways to do it. The harlot and the false prophet, of course. And the beast, the Antichrist. And whether we're in the tribulation time frame or not, I believe the tribulation is in it, or the first half of the 70th week of Daniel. There is nothing in the Bible that says there's 7 years of tribulation. Nothing. That's tradition. And you don't want to hear me try to sing Fiddler on the Roof, so I'm not going to say tradition. But that's all it is. It's tradition. Okay. Be safe. If anybody gets any information, be sure to post it here so that we know what's going on. If you get articles or posts anything that flooding in Kentucky and Arizona, and you're still getting it. That's the thing. Whatever you're experiencing now, bad as it may be, it's not even the tip of the iceberg to what's coming. So we want out of here. There's 3 raptures, so we want out of here. God will protect you all the way through. Of course it's man-made. They're controlling this. Getting in it. Well, whenever you go live, you always run the possibility of cutting in and out. So sorry about that. This is why I don't do live very often. I need a good solid landline, and they won't let me have access to it inside. The only thing I can do is to go to Starlink, and I'm currently not in an area that's authorized for it. I can cheat, but I don't want to do that. God bless cloud soon.